Question about the Bible.
All right, let's see it.
Were orgies just really popular before the Common Era?
I don't know that much has changed regarding the prevalence of orgies since before the Common Era. I do think there's an awful lot of rhetoric that we find among Greco-Roman writers as well as among Jewish and early Christian writers condemning the people around them for engaging in all kinds of erotic activity at their parties and in their worship and things like that. But rumors like that were also spread within the Greco-Roman world about early Christian worship and about other mystery religions that engaged in different kinds of rites and rituals in secret. So I don't know that a ton has changed, but certainly there's a concentration of rhetoric in the closing centuries before the Common Era where there are conservative groups that are concerned with that kind of activity. But whether or not that's accurate and whether or not much has changed since then, I don't know.
So I was on the train platform and I saw someone in a hijab and a bodycon dress, and I was like, what are the rules about hijabs? I don't know anything about Islam. So I looked it up and it was interesting. People kind of wore hijabs before Islam was a thing, but like Islam was like, oh, you should cover your bosom and dress modestly so that this is for your husband. And so the hijab is like an adapted version of that. Probably butchering it, all right? I'm probably butchering this knowledge. I understand that. Please sit on the train, please. And so then I was talking to a friend about this, that friend being Mo specifically, and I was looking up Bible verses about modesty from the Christian Bible, right?
Interestingly enough, there are no passages anywhere in the Bible that address modesty as a question of how much of your body is covered up. Modesty is about the ostentatiousness of your dress or your hairstyle or your jewelry, or about the intended seductiveness of your makeup. But there is no part of the Bible, not the Hebrew Bible, not the New Testament, where modesty is ever addressed as a question of covering up enough of your body.
Oh, well, first, Mo was raised in a Buddhist household. And so I had to tell her the reason why Catholics don't wear condoms, which was, if you don't know, let me look at the guy's name. Okay, so there's a dude named Onan in the Bible, right? And his brother dies, and according to tradition, he has to marry his late brother's wife, and it's also his duty to get her pregnant. And while he's in the act of this happening, he pulls out and lets it loose on the sheets, and God is like, you weren't supposed to do that, and Catholics don't wear condoms now.
Which is an odd ethical message to be negotiating from this passage, because it doesn't really have anything whatsoever to do with condemning birth control or even coitus interruptus. It is entirely about the fact that Onan refused to fulfill his duties to his levirate marriage because he knew the child would not be considered his. So it has nothing to do with saying you shouldn't use birth control or you shouldn't engage in coitus interruptus.
And Mo was like, Christian, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, no, this is in the Bible. I'm not even joking, right? And I was like, is this like one of the abstinence verses? And so I go and I look around. I guess I had never seen it all in a list before, but there are so many Bible verses that are like, please stop it with all the drunkenness, the sexual debauchery, and the orgies. There are so many verses. So my original question being, were orgies like a problem? Was it like a general, like was it like an actual state issue? Like we have to stop these orgies.
I don't think it so much has to do with identifying an actual large-scale social problem within the Greco-Roman world, so much as it is about a rhetorical identity marker that allowed these conservative movements to distinguish themselves from the social groups around them, because it pops up primarily within like the holiness code in the Torah, and so this is people even more concerned for purity and holiness than most of the other authors of the Hebrew Bible, trying to create this distinction between us and them, where the Canaanites and everybody around them are characterized as rife with sexual perversion. And the same kind of thing is going on in the New Testament with Paul and some of the other authors' attempts to paint the Greco-Roman world as, again, rife with sexual impropriety and immorality. So it's more about the rhetorical utility of this sexual conservatism as an identity marker for early Judaism and early Christianity than it is an actual identification of a big social problem in that time period.
So please don't get mad at me. I often have to remember, I try to be I'm an atheist, right? I was raised Christian. I know a lot about the Bible. I know a lot of Bible verses. They sometimes pop back into my head. I have to remember to be respectful, because I try to be nice. I try to be respectful about it, But this is an unironic question. I genuinely mean, why there's, how bad were the orgies that there's so many Bible verses about?
I think it's similar to a lot of the political discourse going on today, where people isolate an issue and make it an identity marker and then try to make it sound like it's going to crash the earth into the sun if we allow those evil spawns of Satan to continue to have power. It's just a rhetorical identity marker. And the fit for this video has been the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're the world's most fearsome fighting team.